Pfizer saying it may apply for emergency use authorization for its potential vaccine as soon as late November. The company saying it expects to receive data from clinical trials this month, and if it shows positive results, it will apply to the FDA. Let's bring in Dr. Robert Frenck, lead investigator for the Vaccine Treatment Evaluation Unit and director of the Gamble Vaccine Research Center at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Dr. Frenck, welcome to the show. What are your thoughts on Pfizer's timeline, and does it seem possible?
Well, I would say that what I can comment is about what we've been doing, and that I'm very confident that Pfizer will only ask for use when they have the science to prove that the vaccine is effective and reasonable to be used in the general population.
I have to ask, do you think it's a little surprising that Pfizer predicts the vaccine could be ready for emergency use shortly after the election?
Well, so the way that the protocol is designed is that it's to be looking at how many cases you have at different time periods. And so you have what's called interim analysis to try to look at if you have enough cases. And so as soon as we have enough cases to know if the vaccine's effective, then we've answered our question. So it's possible that by November we'll have enough cases to be able to see if the vaccine's effective, but it really is going to depend on the acquisition of cases.
Fair enough. We know both Eli Lilly and Johnson & Johnson, their COVID-19 vaccine trials are on pause. That doesn't mean the end of the road for candidates. We keep hearing this is not unusual when it comes to clinical trials. But what should Americans take away from these pauses?
I actually think that Americans and the whole world should be heartened by the pauses, because it means that we're following the safety rules that we should be following. And then when we write a protocol, we always put in safety. And one of the parts of safety is pauses if you have a problem. And that it doesn't mean that you can't restart, but that's part of the normal process. And so people should feel like we're doing things the right way, we're following safety, and we're not cutting any corners.
Sure, that makes complete sense. What do these trial pauses, however, mean for the anticipated timeline of a vaccine or a more viable treatment?
It will delay the few weeks that they're on pause, and that, but hopefully it's in the weeks as far as the delay.
We know Cincinnati's Children's Hospital will test Pfizer's vaccine on children. Now, is there more of a risk testing vaccines on children compared to adults, Dr. Frenck?
No, but from an ethical standpoint, what we need to do is to test in adults first, because adults have the ability to say yes or no for understanding everything we're asking them to do. And then if we have the safety and immunogenicity data that looks good in adults, then we're able to move down to children to be able to say it's reasonable and ethical to test in that age group.
We're showing a graphic now showing doctors will approve enrolling 16 and 7-year-old children in the trial now, hoping to approve and enroll 12-year-olds to 15-year-olds by the end of next week. Have there been enough volunteers, or are some parents nervous maybe to volunteer their children to be a part of this? And how do you go about putting kids in a trial when they technically can't consent to do so?
Well, so that to be in the trial, the parents provide permission, and then we get assent from the adolescent or the child. And if the adolescent or child says they do not want to be in the study, their vote wins. So that's the way we always approach any clinical trial. As far as for having people being interested, we've had about 90 families so far that have expressed interest. We have started enrollment. We enrolled a couple adolescents so far, but we have just started. So it typically takes a while to kind of get people accustomed to the vaccine being tested, and then our interest typically increases after that.
When it comes to people getting diagnosed with COVID-19 and even deaths, we've seen the numbers very disproportionate, especially when it comes to minority communities. So how is this trial maybe attempting to work with a diverse group of children in order to better reflect the population in this country?
Well, so we've been, in Cincinnati Children's, we've had a long history of relationship with the community. And so that I think that's shown by that we had 28% of our population in our study that were self-identified as either Black or Hispanic, so which really is pretty representative of our community. And that's really what my goal was, is to have a vaccine population that's representative of our community. We'll be trying to do the exact same thing with the adolescents.
All right, Dr. Robert Frenck, lead investigator for the Vaccine Treatment Evaluation Unit and director of the Gamble Vaccine Research Center at Cincinnati's Children's Hospital. Dr. Frenck, thank you so much for your time and insight today.